welcome to this episode of Fanservice. We are, as you can see, we're missing one because Kimberly is sick and Pocky caught it. And she's my buffer. Chris-Rachael is right here because she catches everything. Yeah, so welcome to the show. We weren't here last week because it was Easter weekend. We showed the South by Southwest show again. Everyone loved it. I mean, we did an epic job there.
Well, they keep telling us they love it. So
yeah, everyone's like, "Oh my God, we want to be on your show next year." Well, we'll be doing it next year too. Hopefully,
That's
multiple
true.
days.
Let us know. The sooner you get in touch with us about that, the more likely you are to actually get a slot on the show because that fills up really fast.
Yeah, it does. But of course, they don't actually announce anything until February, so you might have to wait till February to contact us. But hey, whatever.
Yeah.
Today we have a really fun show because we were supposed to actually be at an event last week, and that's what kind of sparked this whole thing. Con culture. Now, we've talked about putting on conventions before, but we've been to quite a few between all of us as a crew, and there's this whole culture that has developed around cons, and the one we were supposed to be at last week kind of imploded.
Yeah.
It was very unprofessionally done. Like, we've been planning for months to be live there. You were supposed to have a booth.
I was supposed to have a booth that just got yanked. I found out third hand. So.
It was like because they felt we weren't giving them enough of our time, which they've been on the show.
Yeah.
You know.
Anyway, we don't want to rant too much about.
So that started the whole con
culture
culture thing, which is why we decided to talk about that today. And so I'm a little sad Kimberly's not here because she MCs conventions.
Yeah.
And she would have been a great aspect because
she MCs conventions. She actually helps organize their the cosplay events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She gets their prizes and whatnot. So
Yeah.
she actually would have been great here, except those
She
who
can't
live
talk.
in Texas, those who live in Texas right now know that everything is spotty in Texas.
yeah, we're lucky we're not covered in
The trees are
pollen.
making love in our noses, and I do not want to be part of their freaky tree orgy any longer.
But it does smell real good.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It smells like phlegm.
It smells like Mucinex.
So we're going to be talking about that today, and we have all sorts of fun things. And
I think we're going to kick it off with a list, aren't we?
yeah, so we're going to kick off everything with our first segment of the day, which is 10 Things List with a special guest star, Chris Glover from Adventures in LARPing, wearing a hat that I really want to steal. I ain't even going to lie. So you're going to see Pocky and Chris Glover talking about made-up, actual things from history that were caused by conventions.
Yes.
So don't think it's actually real. Like, don't come hate mailing us going, no, that's not why that happened. It's a funny list. That's what 10 Things is about, is comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get ready for 10 Things.
Hi. So that's Chris. I'm Pocky. Pocky and Chris. No, wait. So our top 10 list this week is top 10 disasters, historically speaking, that happened because of cons or things that happened in cons.
We really love cons, but sometimes they can be quite dangerous, as you can tell.
Yes.
Lead us off.
So the London fog, caused by industrial industry, killing hundreds of people? No. It was caused because the London steampunk community tried to get a little too hardcore in their London LARPing of steampunk, killing hundreds of people.
Be careful when you're in your steampunk attire. You can overdo it.
Yeah, indeed.
Number 9, Pompeii. We used to think that it was this giant volcano coming down upon the people, and why would they live right next to a volcano that's about to explode on them? But no, in reality, it was the first and fortunately only Minecraft LARP that ever existed.
Unfortunately, they did find lava. Unfortunately, no one was smart enough to put the diamond blocks around it to prevent the city from getting smothered.
It's always about the diamond blocks.
Okay, one of the greatest tragedies that ever happened, almost recently got recreated, the 1930 stock crash. Well, that was not because of bad management of money and everything. It was because Lucas announced the re-release of Star Wars toys, devaluing all Star Wars toys previously, meaning... Sorry, trees.
Don't die on me, Pocky!
I won't die! Not dying!
Yes, originally Star Wars toys were nice and collectible and in there. Who cared? None of us kept them in the packaging. But then they got re-released and everything went to pot. The value just dropped out.
Unfortunately, causing massive untold destruction, of course.
Right. Now, at number 7, the Great Blackout of 1965. Power outages across the board, across the eastern seaboard all the way up into Canada, right?
Yes, New York, 7 surrounding states, and parts of Canada were totally blacked out for several days, leaving over 300,000 people stuck in subways and trains and elevators throughout most of New York and major cities.
At the same time, it was the largest gathering of Descent players in a single LAN tournament known to man. Hopefully, Descent players have found other games to play, and we won't have that again.
Also, remember what 1960s computers were like? Think about seven large buildings full of computers, each eating up enough power to power a small nation. Number 6 for us, the Dust Bowl, was one of the great natural tragedies of this country. Due to you Pokemon collectors collecting too many grass-type Pokemon. Shame on all of you.
We need the grass. Look, you gotta. There are other Pokemon here. We don't just need to focus on one. What else could be wrong when you start going crazy like that?
And besides, they're all weak against fire type. I know you were fighting in the Water Badge gym at the time, but seriously, next one is fire. Your grass Pokemon ain't gonna do nothing.
Spread out, branch out. Number 5, the Roanoke Colony. First colony to America, completely disappeared?
Vanished.
No, they went to Gen Con and could not find their way home.
Still missing to this day, possibly members of a tribe in Florida. Stonehenge used to be a great tall building. This is our number 4 entry. Well, it used to be a great theater until, of course, the first ever Doctor Who convention got a hold of it. Then it was completely decimated. What you see left standing is actually the pillars for what the favorite doctors were. Great debate's the thing, and many colonies, many families died to the great debate of Baker versus Tennant.
Which still goes on.
To this day.
Hopefully in much more minor circumstances.
Indeed.
At number 3, we have the Salem witch trials. What we thought historically is a bunch of folks getting out of hand and thinking
Religious prosecution, possibly going after some land for
Right.
money. No.
In reality, it was the largest ever debate of Team Edward versus Team Jacob. And fortunately, I'm on Team Helsing, so we're okay there.
Number 2, the Black Plague. Truly one of the most devastating moments in all of our history. Destroying millions of lives, killing millions of more people. Of course, leading up to the Renaissance because of all the money and things. But what caused the Black Plague? Recently, scientists have said it was guinea pigs that were brought over poorly from China. This is not true. Rather, guinea pigs was actually the name of a convention, the first major ever Gamers Con. That's right, we're using Gamer Funk and GamerCon Flu for causing the Black Plague.
It's important when you go to a con, use proper hygiene. Take a moment, step away from your game, and take a bath.
Also, drink, and eat properly. And our number 1 great disaster caused by con events.
Hit it, Pocky.
It's World War I, the war to end all war. The war that would also eventually lead to World War II was started over a Warhammer 40k tournament that ended with a rules debate. As we all know, Franz Ferdinand himself was the great imperial player. Of course, when you also start getting some of the Polish players and some of the diehard English players involved, this only led to a giant skirmish breaking out at GamersCon or another major gaming convention at the time, leading to, of course, the beginning of World War I. Do not let historians tell you otherwise.
Remember, if you're going to go Warhammer, stick with the fantasy stuff. Relax a little bit. To heck with 40K.
So,
This
was
everybody else in the room here giving me the same in reverse.
well, I would say go with War Machine. It's less expensive and more entertaining.
Neither one has lizard men. Stick
Actually-
with fantasy.
Actually, I have Crocodile Men in mind.
Oh,
So,
okay.
now we're going to go on to the main subject, but first, but also the news, because news is important. Everyone should watch the news, and not my Wikipedia page.
Hello, and welcome to Geek Week News. I'm your anchor, Lance Allen. First, the weather and traffic from our very own cyberspace mecca, Mainframe. A virus infestation on the front side bus has caused massive delays in data transfer. Firewalls have been erected to quarantine the area, and traffic is being rerouted by the backside bus till the viruses can be taken care of. Flash drive flood warnings are in effect for the USB bus lines throughout the week. Coupled with a scheduled storm of updates, the CPU may find itself overwhelmed. hard drive facilities have been tasked to handle some of the overclocked CPU traffic till the storm passes. Server administrators advise all programs and apps to keep traffic to a minimum till the storm is passed and the system reboots. The flooding, however, does little for the power supply and motherboard regions, who have been suffering from a drought that has rendered the area a dust bowl as well as severe overheating. Hopefully, a long overdue batch of high winds will help clear the dust out and prevent any burning out. In other news, Bob the Guardian is calling it quits and retiring. In a press conference yesterday, Bob stated the nature of the games had gotten too complicated for his old programming to handle. Instead of seeking an upgrade to his OS, he has opted to just settle down as a local neighborhood virus exterminator. Bob gave no further statement, but inside information has reported that Mainframe is in talks to transfer Tron in from the grid as a temporary defender, at least till a new version is uploaded. In legal news, a surprising upset in the ongoing Pac-Man case. The Ghost Gangs had pressed charges of murder and harassment against the Pac-Man family. What seemed like an almost sure win came to a grinding halt when the defense called for surprise expert witnesses Egon Spengler and Ray Stantz, renowned paranormal scientists, to testify. The defense lay in proving that Ghost's already dead. The judge called for a mistrial, saying that due to the lack of digital corpus, the Pac-Man family could have committed no crime. The Ghost Gang has declined to give any comment on this upset. Pac-Man said only, "Nom nom 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 nom." Truly inspirational words. That is all we have for tonight. Good night from Geek Week News.
I do not agree with that. I really think that family should be able to persecute Pac-Man.
They're ghosts. They just keep resurrecting themselves. Why should you be able to prosecute Pac-Man? Their eyes float around. Poop, they're back to life. Going to go
You
kill
don't
Pac-Man.
know what type of family lives they had before that. I think they've been trapped in that maze for so long, and they're just trying to get out. They think that he's like a Minotaur that trapped them in there.
Obviously, you've never seen Wreck-It Ralph. They're perfectly fine. They're well-adjusted ghosts. They know their role in life. They tried to outclass it. It didn't work. So, welcome back to Fanservice. We're going to be talking about con culture today because we were realizing there really is a con for everything.
Yeah.
You like tying shoes? There's a tying your shoe con.
So we did a little research before this, and we're not kidding. We decided at a whim, I decided at a whim, make up a con about dragons and monsters who pretend to be humans. There's a con for that, apparently.
Of course
There's a con for people who think they're monsters to pretend to be humans. I'm not kidding you. It's like over in the Netherlands or something. I'm like,
Yes.
only in the Netherlands.
See, I love this, though. Okay, so backing up just a step, we come from three really interesting perspectives on this.
Yes.
Gavin represents the new wave of fandom as far as I'm concerned. People that got into it because of media fandom. They're like, hey, I really enjoy these movies and TV shows. I think I'm going to go to a convention and meet other people
Yeah.
like it. I, on the other hand, am a second-generation nerd, so I grew up going to conventions back when they were all the literary conventions.
About reading books.
About reading those crazy books, yeah, and have been kind of watching it evolve over time for longer than we're going to admit on the show. And then you're kind of in the middle.
Right. I will not say I did not start being a fan. I was a fan of stuff before I realized that you could be a fan of it. I would say that.
I think most people are.
Yeah. I watched Doctor Who with PBS, and the Sci-Fi Channel started to air it. I was into comic books because Fox used to air like X-Men or the Spider-Man cartoons, and so I started wanting to read those, and I read more and more. And yeah, Doctor Who, I read the books and go for things. I was an anime fan without knowing I was an anime fan because it was, again, Saturday morning cartoons. It wasn't until a Sci-Fi Channel or something said, these are animes, and then I found I was an anime fan because these were my favorite cartoons. And so from that, I got into it and I started going to conventions. I think my first convention I could say was back in the early 90s. So I'm really dating myself here, folks. It was at, I think, at one of the DoubleTrees here in Austin. And there was no guests. It was just vendors. And at the time, some people who were dressing up, pretending to be the characters, didn't know a word for it at the time. It was now cosplay. And yeah, that's where I got my start. And then, yeah, I've pretty much, except for 5 years of my life, gone to a convention every year of my life.
So the real point is that I feel that there are two kind of different kinds of conventions these days. There are the fan-run local conventions that might be the super special, like all the super specialized ones are fan-run.
Like the BronyCon.
Yeah, And then there are the big media conventions like Comic-Con and, well, Dragon Con's technically fan-run, but it's
big. I consider it a
massive.
media one.
So all of the Comic-Cons, all of the Star Trek specific or Star Wars specific these days cons, anything that's got over 20,000 people is probably not being run by local fans. And I feel that these are two different kind of beasts, and they kind of attract two different types of people.
So let's look at the fan conventions, okay?
Okay.
These are the ones where anything and everything can go.
Yes.
And I find myself confused because they're normally on a smaller scale, but why don't you just do like a meetup or something? Because you're charging people money to come celebrate their fandom and to hang out with other people when they can just go to like a pub and do it for free.
Okay, because you have that all-inclusive experience for the whole weekend. You make a weekend of it. You go. See, he doesn't actually stay at the hotel for the weekend, so he's never experienced the nightlife part of fan culture at all, and therefore I think it mystifies you.
You know why? Because anytime
you
I
only
want
go
to
to
stay in
media
a hotel
conventions.
was like the anime ones where they do those weird orgy wait night like raves, and I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Well, I think that
I think
another
you
thing you
also went to some
represent
bad
is a
anime
little bit more
conventions.
conservative side of fandom, which the newer media conventions, like, you're getting a lot more conservative people. Like the old school conventions, pretty liberal in a lot of ways. Yes, physically as well, and so you don't see as much of that at the media conventions because they tend to be more family friendly. But anyway, back to the main point with these. A lot of people are coming from, when you say just do a meetup, if it's a really specialized one, if it's like OnyxCon, which is for the African diaspora, if it's WisCon, which is a feminist convention, if it's GayLaxicon, which is just obviously aimed at gay people.
Or the GingerCon for just redheads. Seriously.
Yeah, but that one's not a science fiction convention. That's just a bunch of redheads getting together.
It's a fandom.
Anyway, the point being that those people come from all over. They're not just the people in your town. You're going to get 500, 1,000 people at something like that from all over the place. So you get to meet other people from other cities that are into the same thing you are, that are as into it as you are. Whereas if you're just looking at the pool of people in town, it's going to be like, okay, I've met 4 people here in town that may kind of sort of be into it, or 500 people from all over that are really into it.
I think the small ones don't get all over. It's still in a regionalized area. Like, let's say in Austin, you'll get maybe San Antonio, Houston, Dallas as far as people go.
I've been going to conventions since I was little, and every convention I've ever been to, I'd say about at least a third of the population of the convention has come from out of state, and about at least a tenth has come from out of the country.
Well, I was going to say, we just went to recently Chupacabra.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Second year.
Chupacabra is really, really tiny.
But it is very, very tiny. But it's also, one, Chupacabra had 30 guests. As the head of one of the companies pointed out, he had never seen a lineup before, ever, not even compared to Origins or Gen Con, which are the 2 big ones. So this was thing. Very, very big news for all of them because these were huge names in the industry that were there. But even though this was year 2, they were getting people from London, England. They were getting things because of their guests. Yes, the smaller conventions do start off smaller. I think Chupacabra is, I wouldn't say an exclusion to the rule, but it is doing something very different. But yes, generally smaller conventions do start off just in Austin, or maybe just in their local city. But they don't stay that way. If they're a well-run, well-maintained convention, they don't stay that way ever.
So
I
you're
think
telling me that in London, they don't have a game convention like ChupacabraCon?
Not
They
with
may.
that specific set of guests.
But the guests, I want to know, yes, they do. And in many cases, some of them do get those level guests. But it's how the quality of that convention, how it's run, how it's maintained, everything. Rumors and stories of a convention spread, particularly because of the internet, so quickly.
Yay,
The
internet.
But yeah,
No, in
the
a good
ball
way,
pit.
in a really good way.
The ball
The
pit.
ball
is
pit.
sick.
God, yes.
But look how bad that convention was. There's not going to be a second one.
Yeah.
Why? Because it was poorly maintained. ChupacabraCon got lots of news because of it. If a convention happens, good or bad, it will be known for it.
Yeah, like RTX, another
Yes.
good local one.
Right,
I
and-
feel like that's going to become our equivalent of PAX.
Yes.
It already
RTX
is.
amazing.
And they're wonderful. Like, the people that run it are fantastic. I've had a great time every time I've been
We've
there.
had so much fun.
And people know that. It's growing exponentially every year, specifically because it has that reputation for it. And so reputation matters. I think some of the thing, again, there's nothing wrong with your perspective. I'm finding it fascinating as someone who's coming into these things really new. The comic conventions, tend to have the same kind of roster of guests that sort of rotate around the country. So if you want to see the guys from Buffy and the
Yeah,
guys
they're
from
always at the
Angel
same
and the
ones.
guys, yeah, so it doesn't really matter. You don't need to go to the Austin one versus the St. Louis one or whatever, because it's going to be the same people doing the same
But
stuff.
when we look at these little fan run conventions, do you think they'd be anywhere near that successful if they weren't trying to crowdfund themselves? Because that's how they get their word out. Like, let's say Chupacabra decided to pay for it all themselves.
Well, they
Yeah,
can
that,
this year.
yeah, that's
Well,
you don't
as
know
an
how they
example.
run. Actually,
As an
you make your
example.
money by buying badges.
Yes, but a lot of them are now going towards the crowdfunding to get that word out, so people get the
No.
badges as part of crowdfunding. It does. Look around.
I think he's mostly right, somewhat.
I haven't
crowd-
actually seen a bunch
Mostly.
of Kickstarters for these sort
I
of
have.
things.
I've seen a lot of
There's
them.
a
I mean,
lot of them coming up now.
I guess I go to conventions that have been more established. So if your con's been around for more than 3 or 4 years, typically, you pay for it with badges. That's how you.
But if
that's how you always find
go to the swag booth, if you go to the swag booth, particularly with flyers, you'll see, some con, and then you'll see the Kickstarter logo right on the bottom of it.
Yeah, so they're trying to kickstart it and get people to commit to badges that way, and then like what happened with the Tumblr con where they had the ball pit.
Well, the other thing is though, that's also
But that's also a brand new development.
Yeah.
But that also is one thing that Kickstarter is one part getting your thing funded, but there's another part of it altogether. It's also marketing.
Yes.
How many times have you gone to Kotaku, Polygon, IGN, and all these, and something on Kickstarter is on their page? It's marketing. It's, hey, did you guys see this video about this convention that's happening here in Austin? No. Then they watch the video, and then if they like it, they fund it. It's free marketing. It's free getting your name out there, because now, in a way, you have an IP address to your convention.
And it's really effective. I mean,
Yeah.
the difference between the books that I've put out that have had a Kickstarter and the books that I've put out that haven't, the Kickstarter books tend to sell better, except for the Hobbit one, which was going to sell no matter what. But
Oh, yeah, it says
because the word gets out there, people, like you said, share it, things along those lines. But that's a really new development with these small conventions. That's not something they've been doing. Like, the oldest convention in the U.S. is from the 1930s, PhilCon in Philadelphia. 1930s.
What do they do in 1930s? Watch those little stereographic pictures?
Well, it wasn't.
It's
It
called
wasn't about
literacy
media.
and
It was-
books
yeah,
and the dime
exactly.
store novels. And
And so conventions have actually been around for almost over 100 years now, like about 85, 90 years.
Yeah, but the difference
Worldcons-
between back then is they weren't as populous as they are today. Like, you throw a
Yes.
rock, there's a convention happening every day somewhere here in Texas.
Well, when you say populist, I'm going to completely agree with you there, because media fandom has made it a very mass appeal with cons these days. I feel that anybody that says, man, I'm so oppressed because I'm a nerd, people pick on me, like, really? Are you tuning in from 1984?
Yeah,
because,
probably.
I'm sorry, if your movies are making over $1 billion that are made to cater just to you, you are not the oppressed minority anymore. Sorry. And so that's what's really different, I think. I think that the little fan-run conventions tend to be people that have a small niche interest, like the bronies, as opposed to the people that are into
Let's
Marvel's
go pay $200
Avengers
to
and
go
Star
have some dude
Wars
sign a
and-
picture for me.
Exactly. So that to me is a lot of the culture difference between them. The mass appeal, the things that have been marketed to billions of people versus okay, maybe there's only 20 people. Anybody out there that likes Continuum, maybe you and I should have a convention.
Everyone take a shot. Continuum came up.
I mean, that being
But
the point that, like,
it's-
if you have a super niche interest like that, that's the point of a small local con.
But at the same time, like, I think it's like anything. Smaller conventions can happen, and they happen a lot. As you said, there's a convention. I make a joke. There's a convention in Austin every weekend. You just need to look it up.
Literally, there is.
There is. We're not kidding. But at the same time, it's someone out there said, hey, let's do a small comic book convention. And then it became San Diego Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
There's somewhere out there, there's this paper trail you could find that will get you to that spiral. And I think part of it is, oh my God, look at all this money.
Mm-hmm.
And then they want to make more of that money. Then they want to make more of that money.
But that's something that has come in more recently as everything has become mass appeal. Like San Diego Comic-Con, it plateaued all through the 90s. It wasn't until Hollywood was like, oh wait, we can
show stuff
launch
there.
our movies there. All right, we're coming in. Dragon Con has also benefited from the media expansion. Gen Con is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Gen Con was really small for the longest time, and then they got picked up by a professional convention running group who's done fantastic with it, by the way. I really approve of what they're doing. And it exploded because they had professional management and not just local fan volunteers.
I think also part of it is, you said back in the day, and I agree, that it was like, there's like there's 6 cons. There's Dallas, San Francisco, Philly, New York.
Never been the case.
Well, I'm just saying, like, all the major cities.
Yeah,
but Dallas is going to be the major one.
It's like what I think you're going for is it became an event to go to a convention. It's like,
Right.
oh, what are you gonna do this weekend? I'm gonna go to this convention because they have one every weekend. I think the luster of conventions has kind of lost it when you've got Wizard World in 3 different. We've got Houston, San Antonio, Dallas. You've got the big San Diego one that everyone flocks to every year that no one has any fun at. You've got Dragon Con, which is exploding. You've got a million little individual conventions going.
So here's the thing. This is where con culture becomes important. No one expects you to go to all of them. You find the one with your people and you go back to that one repeatedly.
But people go to all of them. That's
No,
what
they
we've
don't.
seen.
No, they
Yes.
don't. No, they don't.
Yes,
They really-
I have seen
it's
the same
super
people
expensive.
at Alamo City, at RTX, at
So maybe they go to
Staple,
4 conventions
at-
a year, and those are the 4 they go to.
But
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
all the same type of conventions.
No, they're not.
Well, okay, Staples
No,
not,
okay,
but
no.
Alamo
Yeah.
City and
No.
Wizard World are
No.
pretty much the same. Yes, they
Okay.
are.
But I would say either of those and RTX are not the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Staple, RTX, I totally disagree with the same. Wizard World and the other one. You said.
Alamo
City.
City, Capital City, all
Alamo City,
those.
totally different.
No, it's not.
Here's
Okay,
what,
so
hold on.
here's the thing. His perspective on this is just he's only going for the guests in the media panels. He's not
True.
seeing
And
the
the
parts
people
that
that
we're
we've
seeing.
been meeting at all these things, they've been the same guests. They've been the same people out in the conventions that we've run into multiple times and
But
had
you're
a great
seeing
time
the
with.
booth people. Yes, the
I'm also the
booths.
people at the convention. I've
So
noticed that we're
here's
running
the
into
thing.
the same people.
Here's the thing, dude. You need to get out of Texas.
Oh, we do need to get out of
You,
Texas.
I mean, seriously.
We really need to get out of Texas.
So people there are plenty of people, having grown up in this culture, that will do a circuit of usually no more than 4 a year, because it does add up money-wise. And that's where you meet people that don't live in town. That's where you hang out with your friends that are from out of town. You look forward to it. You make it an event. For me, because I grew up in the Midwest, it was a little bit more spread out. So it'd be like
You're a
Tulsa,
Smallville girl.
Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Kansas City, things along those lines. So it's a little bit more of a drive. The thing about Texas is nobody gets out of Texas. There's a shock collar if you try to pass the border. You're
well, it's
just not
because
allowed
if
to
we
go.
try to drive out of Texas, there's 3 conventions on the way. We're done. You
And
know?
so the thing is, you're only seeing one very specific regional type of fandom, and then you're assuming that represents all the fandom
Why
across the
wouldn't
entire
it?
country.
Because
no, I'm
Okay,
serious.
Chris,
You can't say
you want
just
me to
in
take this
Texas.
one?
Please.
No, you
Okay.
cannot say just in Texas they'll go to everything, because California has a crap ton of conventions, and they're going all to the same ones too. It's not just. You can't tell me it's just a Texas thing.
Okay. One,
Yes, please.
you are assuming that because you've seen 7 or 8 of the same people that all of them are going.
It's not
no.
just 7 or 8 people.
But also, you were also talking 1 month's gaps between RTX and Alamo City and all these, so people have time to get money. 2, regions like different things. As an example, Texas is a Pathfinder town. It is all about Pathfinder. Yes, you can find a D&D. Yes, you can find maybe Savage Worlds. You can find other things. But every convention, you're going to have a Pathfinder. In the Midwest, it is all about Savage Worlds. In New York, it's all about traditional D&D. And all about the West Coast, it's all about
so there's
Vampire
a
the Masquerade.
geographic map based on what kind of RPG you like to play.
Not just RPGs, but other things as well. Like the East Coast science fiction, like Star Trek and whatnot conventions, they're much older than the ones in general that are further out. And so they tend to get a somewhat different crowd than other things. Like if you want to go to a literary convention, you're going to want to go probably East Coast. And I know that you personally
I'm just
don't.
like,
But the
literary
point
convention.
is, you're going to get a really different flavor in different parts of the country because they are locally run. They're run by people in a certain region that are into things, and you've only seen things that Texans like. And Texas really is not
So we
representative
can
of the
go to
entire
California and
US.
see things only Californians like every weekend. I mean, it's going to
Pretty
be the same
much.
thing. When do we get to the point where, like, okay, we've had enough of conventions, let's cut it down so it becomes more of a
So was
major
the point
event?
of this episode for you that you just hate conventions?
No, I
and
love
want them to go
conventions.
away?
Okay,
but
I think
this is
what
just
you're-
how this developed.
What you're seeing is a lot of little conventions. What you're seeing is a lot of big conventions. So what you're asking is, when does the bubble pop?
Yes.
It already has. And then it didn't. And then it has. And it hadn't. Back in the 90s, every weekend, there was a comic book convention in this town. I ought to know I went to about 75% of them.
What are you doing this weekend, Pocky? Oh, I'm going to another comic convention. Weren't you there last weekend?
No,
not
this
at all.
is a different hotel. Then what happened? The comic book bubble popped. What happened to all those conventions? They went away. Till like 2 or 3 of them are left. Those were the good ones. Those are the ones that had more than just vendors and whatnot. Right now, we're in a media glutton.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we really are.
We have, as an example, you're taking away from my Hell's Kitchen time right now because Netflix just gave me all of Daredevil.
Which is awesome.
And then what happens later is I'm going to have all of Iron Man. And I'm going to have all of Power Man. Right now, this summer, we're having almost every major comic book character is getting a movie. What was last summer? Oh, almost every other comic book character is getting a movie. Television, again, we're having almost everything we want. We have everything from the Headless Horseman, being one of the four horsemen of the
Don't
apocalypse.
start on Sleepy Hollow. We'll have to
I
take
love
another
me
shot.
some Sleepy Hollow.
To right now, Black Orphan's getting a new season. We're getting all this stuff.
Oh, Orphan Black, I cannot wait.
So,
Black Orphan. I was
sorry. That was
Orphan
an
Black, we know what he
Orphan
meant.
Black. Sorry.
The
but
point, though, is that,
yeah, we're getting this big bubble.
And it's a natural thing. What happens is you get a whole bunch of these small conventions, and then different people are running them. And the ones that do well, people go back to, and the ones that do poorly go away. And you want that. That's like any other type of business. We ended up with Heinz ketchup after. You would not believe the type of ketchups that were out there before we settled on tomato. There was mushroom ketchup. There was like crazy ketchups. The point is, you try a bunch of different things, see what works, see what people like, everything else fails, and that's what wins.
And then also you wait for your media bubble to pop. Because like Magic and all the other stuff, eventually it's going to get too big and it's going to fall. It will
Although
not
there's still
complete.
people playing Magic.
No, but I'm saying like I'm not meaning Magic in the sense, but like Magic, like there were actually whole Magic conventions. There still are. Nowhere near the number that it was back in the 90s. Nowhere near the comic book. I mean, there was how many during the biggest run of Doctor Who during the 80s. There were tons of Doctor Who conventions.
And now there's a handful.
There's
in
a
the
handful.
US.
Gallifrey 1. There's a couple.
I can't remember the one
that
was just on the East Coast.
Yes.
I feel bad. Regeneration Who.
Regeneration Who.
Who.
But then there's a whole bunch of things. And is Doctor Who getting popular? Yes. But at the same time, a lot of these conventions are getting really smart. Comic book convention right now, as it sits, just taking comic books as a whole, does not exist because you don't make your money back. But also, if you run a pure Doctor Who convention, you can make some of your money back. If you run a pure Supernatural, Sherlock, or any other of these shows convention, they probably won't make their money back. What you have to do is make what I call the Chimera Beast of conventions. You're going to have a panel for Doctor Who, a panel for Sherlock, and a panel for this, and a panel for that.
But I approve of that because most people like a bunch of different things.
Right.
I mean, if you're super obsessed with just the one show, okay, maybe you should. That's great, but there's other stuff out there. Try it as well. And so
Yeah.
you do see a lot of conventions like Sherlock, Doctor Who, and Supernatural. Those three in particular are
Yes.
like this trifecta adored by Tumblr, and you see overlapping panels with them all the time. And that's great. That's catering to the audience that wants to do things involving all three of them.
Right. And
Which then takes it away from the fan convention. It becomes more of a media convention.
These
it's
things
still-
are evolving back and forth over time, though.
But isn't it still the same product?
Eh.
Okay, it's a
Okay,
young,
here's
it's a
the
young
fundamental
adult.
difference between the fan conventions and the media conventions. Hotel, convention center. If it takes place at a hotel, you're probably going to have a nightlife, you're going to have room parties, you're going to have...
Room parties.
Well,
no, he's never been, so he has no idea
He
what he's
does,
talking
trust
about with
me.
that, seriously. I'm not even going to bother trying to explain because
I
you
know,
are so...
I know.
Yeah. So anyway, so you'll have that nightlife that people can go to and enjoy, and that's where you really meet people. If you have a comic convention or any type of
At a
convention
convention
that's just
center.
at a convention center, you bring your own friends. You don't really talk to strangers that much because you are there to stand in line in order to pay $50 to $200 for somebody's signature on a picture, and then to go to the giant nerd mall, and then to get out. That's all they really want at the convention center cons. That's almost all you've been to, so I can see why you're like, why are there so many of these things? It's a waste of time. Because those that I don't really enjoy them, other than RTX, which is at a convention
Yes.
center. They do an unusually good job.
But I think there is to say that you have these two circles and they don't do that nice little.
They really don't intersect much.
Well,
it's a
some-
very small Venn diagram.
It is
But,
a
but I'm
very
saying
small
there
intersection.
is a very small, but I think when you have that small and it's there, that's where you have RTX, that's where you have Gen Con, and that's where you have like Dragon Con and a couple other ones. The reasoning that I say that they are that mix is because if you try to put RTX into a hotel, I would giggle because it would be like watching a water balloon pop.
Yeah.
Well, okay, here's the thing. RTX, if you wanted to take the South by Southwest model, could definitely, you could fit it in the Hilton. You could fit it in.
They're actually expanding into the Hilton.
Oh, really?
This year they're expanding into
Yeah.
the Hilton.
Congratulations to them. I'm
Yeah.
glad to,
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll be there.
Well, we're going to be there, guys. Video, trust us.
The real point being that what I'm talking about is getting that nightlife, getting the whole people getting together. Because if you're at a convention center, A, it's mostly attracting locals, as you've complained about, and B, you're not getting even if you're local, if you're not staying there, you're missing out on a lot of the experience. You're missing out on the whole, okay, we're all waiting in line because the restaurant's full and now I'm talking to a stranger.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound like that big a deal, but that's where you make your friends. You make your line friends and whatnot. And that has been stripped away. All of the actual social aspect of it has been stripped away at the media conventions, and that's why the fan conventions are so valuable and precious.
So I agree fan conventions should probably be, I'm a little worried that if the bubble pops, we'll see a lot less of those and a lot more of the media conventions. Because we've been to media conventions, and you see we all get frustrated about it, but we have the most fun at the smaller ones, like
Right. They'll pop,
Chupacabra-Con. And
but they'll pop, and then the thing is like anything, yeah, you'll see a lot of death, but then you're like, if you stop for like all of 10 seconds to go, oh, that convention died, and then you think back, did you actually go to that convention? Do you even remember that convention? No.
I was totally waiting for you to flick your hair. Oh my God, 10 seconds, they died.
They died, but at the same time, it is like right now with all through those three shows. When those conventions have their bubble and they pop, they're in the middle of their bubble right now and they pop. What's going to happen to them? They're going to get replaced by something else.
Because the nerds are still there.
The
The
nerds
nerds are still there, and they want a community. Like, I would say that with Dragon Con in particular, it hasn't popped yet, but Atlanta fandom is massive, and they have spun off a ton of smaller conventions for that very purpose. They're very, very niche conventions, so you've got like an adults-only Frolicon out there. You've got
Frolicon.
You've got a steampunk convention out there.
Yeah.
You've got a bunch of LARPs out there. You've got a burlesque convention. All those people still go to Dragon Con, but it's too big as far as that. So they want that experience of just being on their
we
own.
like fan conventions, and it's good that they exist because you do get to meet people. And we probably should go to some more fan conventions than we do. But overall, I guess what I'm taking away from this is fan conventions are really, really the way to go if you're passionate about something.
Yes.
It's worth flying. Like, Michelle, who's been on the show several times, flies out to Gallifrey 1 every year, meets people in LA that she's never going to get a chance to see anywhere else. I would love to do that if I had the money. Maybe some of you should buy my exciting Doctor Who cookbook or think about it if that could help finance me getting
Everyone
out
take
there.
a shot.
But the point being that, like, it does cost money to fly to go to something along those lines. Emerald City Comic Con is one that people have been flying to for a while, stuff along those lines.
Fest,
Yeah, and so it's worth finding that one community, even if you only see those people once a year. I've known plenty of people, a lot of people actually, that met someone at a convention out of town, moved and got married.
I mean, the other thing about some of these large fan conventions is that's their holiday. Like,
Yes.
going to, like, because I have a new job, I got a new job, I don't want to say where, but I got a new job that's going to pay me very well. Me and my wife are already planning to go to Gen Con next year because now I can afford it.
All right, so we'll get out there and explore some more fan conventions. And for those of you who are on the fence about what you should do, if you want to go shopping, go to a media convention. If you want to go have fun and meet people, go to a fan convention.
I would agree with that. The nerd ball aspect is definitely superior at all of the media conventions because that's what they're there for, is to get your money.
Yes.
So, if you enjoyed this, comment in the comments below and let us know your thoughts on conventions. But right now, we're going to get ready for me to take on the Marvel Cinemaverse and how it's spoiling all of us horribly, horribly well in Stone Takes On. Hey everyone, so welcome to Stone Takes On, and I was thinking today because we love the Marvel Cinemaverse. They have literally spoiled everything, and Daredevil just came out, and we're binge watching it. We can't get enough of this thing, right? So how do we get to the point where we're expecting so much out of everything in our movies these days? Because here's what really hit me was when they announced there's no end credit scene in Age of Ultron. I almost flipped it. I was like, how do we know what to tease us for, what to expect? I really want to see Spider-Man. I had such expectations, and I'm not going to get that. So let's look back at what Marvel decided they wanted to do. For those who don't know, they decided they wanted to create an interconnected cinemaverse that went over TV and film. All of it connects together, starting with, I think, Iron Man and just moving on. And everyone has just gone gangbusters crazy for it. We've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we've got Daredevil, the other Netflix series coming up. They're doing an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spinoff. We had Agent Peggy Carter, which was phenomenal. We've got all the movies that tie into it, and things that happen in the movies happen in the TV show, which then reverse things that happen in the TV show happen in the movies. And it's really kind of spoiled us in how we watch and expect our entertainment. That so much so that DC's now trying to jump on the bandwagon. I'm like, is it too late for them? Or are they just going to kind of throw everything into a basket and hope it comes out okay? because their Cinemaverse on TV is working okay, but not so much the film. And what they're doing is they're keeping them separate, which I think is a really bad idea. I mean, look at what Marvel's doing, DC. Why don't you do the same thing? And I think one of the other aspects that made it really clear to me is how much people rallied against The Amazing Spider-Man 2, because Sony was trying to do the same thing. And I was right there with you guys. When I first saw Spider-Man 2, I was like, what the hell are they doing? They messed it all up. But when I watched it again recently with a completely span of time between it, it's not that bad of a movie. But because of what Marvel's doing, we go in with such an expectation that we couldn't let it succeed. I have a feeling that's what's going to happen to DC when we see Batman vs. Superman. We're going to walk in there expecting what Marvel's doing, but not quite getting it. So I don't really know what they're going to happen to do with it, but I weep for us as a whole because, in general, we now expect way too much. What's going to happen when Avengers Age of Ultron fails? Or they go into Ant-Man and nobody likes it? Their bubble's going to pop. We just spent a lot of time talking about popping bubbles. What's going to happen when the Marvel Cinemaverse bubble pops? We're going to have to go back to the regular TV the way it was, and regular movies that don't have anything to do with each other? Not really quite sure. I really want to know what your thoughts are. Write in the comments below. Let us know what your feelings are on the Cinemaverse and how it spoiled us. But up next is the Fanservice Trailer Show. We're going to talk about the Lego video game that's coming out. We're so excited. Okay, so Pocky's going to join me on this one.
Yes,
I have
I
a
are.
problem, all right?
You have problems?
I have a major problem. Come here. You're off screen. I have a major problem. I like the toy-to-video game where you buy the toys, put them in the video game. I am hooked on Disney Infinity. I've got power discs out. I've got so many duplicates. It's not even funny. I've got the figures. We sit there, we play them and level them up. I love playing
fair,
Baymax.
when he says play, he means he's going to shoot you in the back constantly.
with Rapunzel's frying pan.
Yes, this is.
And that's all started because of... Don't touch me, you're sick. That all started because of Skylanders. They were the first ones that came out on the scene.
Actually, that's not true.
Well, what was the first action figure video game?
The first action figure video game, this is me whipping out my nerd card here, actually was a game in Japan. Actually involved mechas, and you actually...
We're not in Japan.
I know, but it's not the first. This is what they ripped off. They actually had mechas, and you could actually put the mechas down, and you actually change out the parts. It actually changed out the parts on the
I
screen.
didn't know that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So it's a fad that's just building up.
Yes.
And let's face it, it's expensive.
It is.
I paid $70 for the starter set for Disney Infinity, and it's $14 a figure and $5 for a pack of 2 discs.
And
I have
let's-
almost all the superhero figures and half the Disney figures and a crap ton of power discs.
And that's not including Nintendo's thing.
The Ambios, which are going gangbusters. They
And,
finally Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't know how. But
And then they also now are not even buying him at the store, but buying him at like eBay or whatever.
yeah,
They're
it's
thousands
gotten
of
out
dollars.
of hand. So, Legos, which are already pretty expensive as it is.
Eh,
Yeah, oh no, Legos are expensive. There is no
Well-
reason why a little box of like 35 pieces should be $20. Sorry. They come out this week and announced Lego Dimensions. Now, I was completely confused because when I watched it and heard about it, I was like, is this a sequel to the Lego movie? It's kind of a cool concept. Somebody's destroying the worlds between Legos, and Batman from the movie and Wildstuff from the movie and Gandalf apparently are going to try to fix it. I was like, oh, is this no. It's a video game.
Yep.
I about lost it. It is a collectible video game where you get to build the pieces and put it on, and it goes into the video game. And I was like, oh my
why
god.
didn't you see this coming?
I don't know how I didn't see
Because
this
here's the
coming.
thing, I saw this trailer and I was all like, huh, they caught up.
No, I thought it was a trailer for the movie.
No, when they showed that it was a toy.
Yeah,
I was
when
like,
they showed it was a toy
I
afterwards,
was like, oh, okay, they've caught up to technology.
oh my god. So we have so many
This is
questions like, if you change something, will it change in the game?
Assume
And
so.
they're a freaking brilliant because they can put codes in every Lego product now and that scan it and give you something in the game. And they already have, okay, it's $100 for a starter pack. That's one problem. 2, they have 3 different types of packs. They have a team-up pack, which is 2 figures and 2 accessories. The level pack, which is a figure, an accessory, and a level, which is the little disc you put on, and just a pack with an accessory. All of them are freaking expensive.
But the thing is, going with marketing here a little bit,
It's Lego.
it's Lego. 2, 1, you don't think that's going to count toward your Lego points?
Oh, my brother's already got a lot of Lego points.
And,
Trust
and
me.
then you can turn those Lego points in, you can get
Yeah.
discounts. So even if you spent $100, it gets you $10 off.
As much Lego as we have in the fanboy house, The only response I got from my brother when I texted him, he goes, "But my wallet, it's non-existent."
It's
This thing comes out in September, and it's super, super exciting. I'm going to have another problem. We're going to be buying Lego figures and putting them on this stupid game and running around doing stupid things. I can't handle it. I can barely handle my Disney Infinity addiction.
So what he's also saying is he's going to be running around with Legos figures shooting you in the back of the head with Rapunzel's fright bad.
You just got mad because we were knocking your ass off.
I would have liked to have played, not just been shot at. That's
That's how bloodthirsty Disney Infinity is for us. So we
everyone's
have the
bloodthirsty.
Lego Dimensions trailer for you guys right now. Then we'll be back to wrap up the show after this.
Delivery. That seems not normal. Oh man, now I've done it! Hi.
A giant! Probably a bad guy.
Oh, this is adorable. Okay, calm down. Hey, stop zapping me with your little wizard stick.
It's called a staff.
Ha! Looks like somebody just got mugged.
That's terrible.
Why don't we call a truce and you tell me what's going on?
Perhaps that would be the wisest course of action.
Okay, so here's the deal. There's this real bad dude, wears a helmet. He's been tearing rifts between all the Lego worlds.
Wow. I only understood about half of that, but it sounds pretty bad.
And he's got our friends.
So we must return to our quest to save them. To the gateway!
Still working out the kinks with a remote function.
We could use your help rebuilding our vehicle, Stretch.
No problem.
Not bad. Well, nice meeting you, whatever your name is.
Many thanks for your assistance, goodly giant.
Good luck.
I think I just swallowed a batarang.
Okay. So I gotta say, Gavin's not dumb. I thought that was a movie trailer too, having seen it for
Exactly.
the first time. A fun-looking movie for that matter, because hey, dude from Community.
I was like completely confused. And yeah, we're all going to be broke come
Oh.
Christmas time. Good luck with that. I mean, it's Lego for one, and a collectible video game, which I'm already addicted to for two. But
They also,
Yeah.
did you also notice, and I have to say this as a Lego fan, did you notice they hinted at some sets that aren't even out
yeah,
yet?
Wizard of Oz,
Wizard of Oz and Back to the Future.
Back to the Future is out.
Oh, it is.
They have the DeLorean. It was part of their ideas line.
But you know, tying in ever so slightly to our earlier segment where you're saying, the bubble and whatever, Pokemon used to be huge because of that collectability.
Oh my God, if they did a Pokemon
Then-
game like that, we would all explode.
Magic before that was huge because of the collectability. This is just one more thing that they're like, hey, exactly how far can we get people to open their wallets?
And that's what I'm worried about because, well, the other aspect is I don't like all the Lego lines, like the Ninjago. So it won't be as bad as the Disney Infinity where I like all the heroes and all the
Yeah.
Disney characters. So, like, one of their sets is a Back to the Future set with Marty McFly and the DeLorean and a hoverboard. So it's a whole, so I'll get that one, but I'm not going to get the Ninjago set.
But don't you think it would be awesome to go to a convention that was full of people that had this and play it with them if that's all you guys were doing together?
I don't know.
The moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, is Stone is an antisocial freak. Don't try to talk to him. Bad things will happen.
Yes.
See, and there is Lego conventions. Yeah, you're
There are
just-
Lego. We've been to the Brick
Yeah,
Fest.
the breakfast was fun. But I think this is, as far as the product line goes, this is going to be very interesting because they will have the barcodes and the scans and the numbers and everything. I cannot wait to see what happens because with sets that they are constantly going through, also it'd be kind of interesting to see some of those really expensive big sets they do for more of the adults if they include this. Like the Tower Bridge of London set that I own. It's 4,000.
Honestly, you own the Tower Bridge of London. My brother owns the giant the Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine that as your like? Let me scan this.
But if it's a playable level like that, you can walk around
Yeah.
from a Lego eye point of view. I think that would be awesome, to be honest.
So I'm pretty excited for it. We're going to see how it ends up playing.
Do you know if
out.
you'll be able to play in other people's things? Like, can they do a multiplayer so that like you could play in
Yes.
your brother's giant Star Destroyer?
Yeah,
You can, as long as you're on the same system like Disney Infinity, as long as... The only thing I hate about Disney Infinity, which is what Skylanders Lego isn't going to do, is if you want to play a Marvel set, you have to play a Marvel hero. You can't put Stitch in there. If it's a Disney set, you can only play a Disney figure. You can't put Iron Man in there.
That kind of sucks.
Whereas these, no matter what you put on there, you're going to be able to play it wherever.
And you get to build your own.
And you get to build your own.
That has a huge amount of appeal, I gotta
Which
say.
I wonder if they're going to go the Disney Infinity route because it's got an amazing toy box mode that rivals Minecraft. Like you can build your own mini games.
I was
You can
building a
adjust
maze.
cameras. We were doing the Maze of Death. I'm working on this racetrack that goes to all the Disney worlds. What you can do programming wise is worth the price of admission to Disney Infinity alone. I don't know how well they're going to try to do that in Lego. And if it's going to stray away from the Lego game format of blow this up, collect the bricks, build this. Blow this up, collect the bricks, build this.
I think
So it'll be interesting to see how they pull it off.
It'll be interesting to see because the guys at Legos, they're really smart about at least their media aspect.
Yeah.
Except that, yeah, I agree with you. I'm not a Jago fan. Or that
Yeah.
one with the lion.
Chima? Yeah,
Chima,
no.
yeah, not
You
fan.
can tell we've been shopping way too much Lego. So that was our show today where we talked about con culture. Hopefully, if you're on the fence about conventions, you got your ideas about it. We do want to spend a little bit of time right now talking about an event that we have next month because we have a charity event for Operation Supply Drop called 8-Bit Salute. We are going to pull off a 24-hour game-a-thon here in this studio from midnight to midnight on May 23rd.
So, also amongst that we should do one thing. Some people may go, what's 8-Bit Salute? What is Operation
We're going to
Supply
get there.
Drop? Okay.
Operation Supply Drop is a charity that gathers money to buy gaming stuff to send to soldiers that are deployed overseas so they have downtime and things to do and they're entertained. And every year they do it's called 8-Bit Salute. It's a 24-hour game-a-thon, and we're just one of the many people doing it. Rooster Teeth is doing it. Gaming Beards is doing it. A whole bunch of gaming groups are doing it. But I think where we're going to be different is instead of watching us play a game for 24 hours and doing speedruns, we're doing 24 mini events. We've got video game bands. We've got live-action Robo Rally with Jonathan. We've got 501st coming in. We've got Zip Hop Goblin Games.
I've got the guy who created a role-play game.
Yeah.
He's going to be here, and he's going to run the opening event for that
Yes.
game.
So we're going to premiere our new video game show. We're going to end it with the Punch Drunk Crazy Cards Against Humanity at 11 o'clock at night where we're all not really here. So, because there's certain times where we're uncensored and certain times where we have to be censored. So when you want to watch the uncensored parts, we're going to have so much fun to do. And on our website, we have a banner you can click to help donate to the cause. That all of it goes to Operation Supply Drop. But we're going to have so much fun. And we're going to talk about that every week leading up to this because we have live bands in the next studio. We've got, like I said, Zip Hop is doing LARP things. They're going to do like a costuming competition, like Face Off, but for fashion, I guess. I don't really know. It's all and Austin Toy Museum's coming in with some serious retro gamers to
and
do.
Austin Toy Museum has some great stuff.
Yeah, he's going to do a whole retro game thing. We're going to have art, and it's what we're going to pull off is going to be. And I weep because Pocky has to do it in November for Extra Life. You're going to have a tough act to follow.
I'm going to do Life for Extra Life. It's going to be not that as many events. I'm going to reduce it down to about 4 to get the 6 that get 4-hour events. We're going to have 6 of them, and there are going to be 4 events.
So I need to say, you're going to have a hard act to follow because
I'm not looking at this as a competition because
it's always competition when it comes to us. Come on now.
I don't
So let people know how they can tune in, how they can fund.
You will be able to watch it live May 23rd on this station on fanboytv.com, and there's a national stream you're going to be able to watch, which we're going to promote all that eventually. You can hit fanboytv.com. There's a big banner, Support Operation Supply Drop. You can click that. It takes you right to our page. You can see all of our growing events. The video we did with Glenn Banton when he was in the studio about what it is. You can find out all the information. I love these guys. They are so much fun.
And this is such a great cause. I know it may sound kind of trivial with the whole, why do we need to give video games to soldiers? For one thing, it's a chance for them to bond with other members of their troop. For another, they have a super stressful life out there because you're literally waiting to be shot all the time. Anything that can help them de-stress from that means they're going to be so much better at their jobs. And on top of that, just the way that things are structured where that you never know what's going to happen next. Every single soldier that they've talked to with Operation Supply Drop has said that just having that there it makes them feel more like they're connected to home because they can actually get on Xbox Live,
And
play
talk to
with their
people.
kids that are back home, play with their spouses that are back home, have that connection that you just can't have otherwise. Especially with the kids, man, that makes such a big difference. Being able to have these fathers playing with their sons when they're deployed, it's important. So I hope that you guys will donate for us. We're not keeping a dime of it. All of this is going straight to our soldiers.
And I'm really excited. It's our first year doing it. Hopefully we'll do it every single year with them. So you will want to watch the Insanity for 24 hours because it's going to be fun.
And we'll
Everything
also
we
be
have
putting it
planned.
online afterwards.
It'll be online.
So if you don't want to sit up for 24 hours with us, which I don't blame you,
Why wouldn't you? I mean, come on.
then you can catch up on some of it later. But you should just put on, if you've got Time Warner Cable, put it on Channel 10 and just randomly tune in over the course of the day. I bet they'll stick around when they do.
So that has been our show today. Thank you guys for coming out. Kim, we missed you for being sick. You better be back here next week. Any last words?
Pancakes.
Kickstarter coming at the end of April.
Everyone take a shot. All right, so that's been Fanservice. We'll be back next week. I'm not really sure what we're talking about yet because we're kind of shuffling our schedule around. So we'll see you same time, same place. Good night, everybody.
Good night.